absolute favourite time of the year is just around the corner. So to celebrate the arrival of autumn, I've compiled a little list of some of the patterns that I'm most looking forward to potentially making. Alongside this list, I am also kickstarting a knit-along. Now this knit-along will be called the TexturedFallKAL, and it will be held by myself and my friend Jacky Knits, who is kind of the genius working behind the scenes to make all of this happen. Please do check out her socials down below. She will be working along the way with me to make sure that this is a really fun and exciting autumnal experience for us all. I've separated my ideas for this knit-along into 3 categories, and they are cables, lacework, and other textured knits. Now the idea of this KAL is for all of us to step away from our usual stockinette pieces and really experiment with texture and variety of stitches, just to really push how far we can take our knitting, experiment with ornate, detailed, feminine or frilly pieces, and make things that are really inspiring and intriguing to fellow knitters. I hope that you'll join me on this knit-along journey, but if not, stick around and check out some of these patterns that I've compiled. I feel like they should give you a little bit of inspiration for the autumn months. My first category is cables. Now this is the largest category because I will admit it's the one that I'm most excited about diving into. I am a lover of your traditional kind of preppy cabled jumper, so I couldn't resist putting in a lot of cabled patterns. Because yeah, I just absolutely adore them. Everything about them is so satisfying, interesting, but also challenging if you've never made them before. Now the first pattern on my list is a smaller cabled project for those of you who want to knit with cables but maybe don't want to commit to a huge, like, whole sweater project. And this is the Holmen Slipover by Strikke Kaffe. The Holmen Slipover is a classic cabled vest that features a lattice design down the front and is flanked by 2 quite interesting braided techniques that I think will give you a lot of fun and give you a sense of how you work cables without too much of a time investment. This piece is created in an Aran weight by combining a DK weight yarn and a lace, but I think that you could achieve an equally wonderful look by just using a very rustic wool. The pattern is knit from the bottom up, and then the front and back are finished separately to allow you to create the armholes, and then the collar and the armhole edge is finished with 2x2 ribbing, which just gives it a really crisp and polished finish. I really like the longer look, but I personally would actually shorten this piece, so not work quite as many repeats of that beautiful cable and lattice, just to make it really fit my proportions. The Holmen Slipover comes in a total of 8 sizes, from an extra small to a 4XL. My second cabled pattern is one that has been on my list for absolutely ages, and I think I've actually even mentioned it in one of my previous videos because I've been dying to cast it on, and that is the Morel sweater by Fibertails. Now Fibertails is a fellow podcaster here on YouTube, so do check her out, but the Morel sweater is just the most gorgeous play on a traditional cabled jumper. Its light and airy appearance is achieved by holding 2 strands of mohair together or using a sort of fluffy and light sport weight yarn, like an alpaca yarn selected by the designer. The feminine details that flank the beautiful lattice section are very reminiscent of a kind of bunch of cherries, and that is so apt considering the name of this jumper is actually based on a variety of the fruit. I would personally follow the designer in this pattern and go with a sort of cloud-like kind of white or cream. I think that that really makes the detail of the sweater stand out, but I think that it could be equally beautiful in any kind of autumnal shade or neutral. Any colour that really allows the cables to truly shine. And oh my goodness, there is just something so special about this jumper. The fact that it features your traditional cabled elements whilst having a relaxed and kind of airy look just makes the whole thing feel much more modern and much more up to date. I also think that this would be a great one for people who are looking to try out a load of different techniques that they've never tried before. I personally am really hoping to use this autumn to branch out and kind of push myself in my knitting. I feel like when we go into the colder months, we're so surrounded by beautiful knitwear that it would sort of be a shame not to try out something new. The Morel sweater comes in a total of 8 sizes, from an extra small up to a 4XL. For a slightly more high fashion turn, I have selected my third pattern from the beautiful designers at Skall Studio. Now, Skall Studio is a ready-to-wear brand that I had the pleasure of visiting when I went to Copenhagen for my birthday last year. I completely fell in love with their ethos and minimal design aesthetic, so I knew I had to include one of their patterns, as they have some really interesting cabled options that would be perfect for this list. The Magda sweater is your quintessential cabled jumper. The high collar and really thick squishy sleeves are sure to keep you extra warm, and I personally have a very special load of Danish wool that I've been saving up to maybe cast on something exactly like this. Now, while this design is beautiful, the fact that Skall Studio are a ready-to-wear brand does mean that their size range is a little bit more limited, and their pattern has some interesting details that you might not find in a lot of modern knitting patterns. However, if you're looking to test your skills and maybe try a little bit of seaming to get that sort of ready-to-wear jumper fit, this pattern is definitely worth the extra investment. The Magda sweater currently comes in 2 sizes, for a extra small or a small, or a medium and a large. My final cabled option is a cardigan that I'm super excited to cast on. I have the pattern all ready to go, I just need to find the perfect yarn. And that is the Beatrix cardigan by the lovely Gregoria Fibres. Now, Gregoria Fibres is a really kind and talented designer who has reached out to me in the past, and I'm so looking forward to casting on her Beatrix cardigan because I think it could become such a perfect autumnal staple. The Beatrix cardigan features a beautiful textured body with intricate and gorgeous cables all the way down the sleeves. The thing that really stood out to me about this pattern, however, was the fact that it includes buttons on the front that are attached with interesting loops. So that should mean that you don't get as much warping and stretching in your button band, but it also gives it a kind of vintage and nostalgic feel that I personally really enjoy. I'm still searching for the perfect yarn, but I feel for this piece something like a chocolate brown or maybe a rich tweed could be a really beautiful option. This knit just has heaps of charm, and I can envision wearing this maybe with a little dress underneath, or just over the top of a t-shirt when I'm wearing jeans for a more casual kind of jacket look. The Beatrix cardigan comes in a total of 8 sizes that are meant to fit an 80 to 140 centimetre bust. Having shown you 4 cabled pieces, I'm now going to move on to my second category, which is lacework. When I think about all of the beautiful detail we can create in knitting, lace definitely stands out as the kind of more ornate and the most impressive. For my first lacework piece, I have selected the KAL sweater by Masha Patterns. Now, this is an explosion of lacework from a relatively new to me designer. I couldn't help choose this piece because of the fact that it gives you an absolute abundance of lace. The piece is an all-over lacework design that includes a very interesting drawstring that allows you to cinch in the sweater just at the waist to give you a more kind of polished silhouette. The KAL sweater takes its name from the Hebrew word for wave, and its design, with all of its sort of wave-like patterns, takes inspiration from the sea and the wind and the tumultuous movement of water. As the KAL sweater is knit in silk mohair on 5mm needles, that is what gives it its very airy and kind of breezy feel. I think that this would be a perfect opportunity to branch out from silk mohair and maybe try experimenting with something like a Suri alpaca or a cashmere lace. Definitely an opportunity to treat yourself and go for a yarn that will feel beautiful against your delicate skin. The pattern also features several figures and videos and PDFs for each size, which should help you avoid any potential confusion with all of the different numbers. Alongside lots of useful tips, the designer has also included options to shorten the sweater or completely remove the drawstring if you want a little bit more of a billowy kind of loose fit. I really love this piece in light colours or maybe pretty pastels, but I would personally go for something a little bit darker and a little bit more moody for the fall. I feel like the gal sweater would be really stunning in a burgundy or maybe an emerald green for something that you could wear out on a date on a chilly autumn evening. The gal sweater comes in a total of 4 sizes, for an S to an XL. After the last extravaganza of lace, I wanted to select something that was a little bit more pared back and a little bit chic. So I went to one of my favourite French designers, Mauricette C, who delivered with this beautiful Mily cardigan. Having made her Kimberley sweater last year, I'm so excited to try out one of her new patterns. And the Mily really intrigued me because of its very delicate and dainty floral motif. Now this design achieves its look by actually knitting the piece inside out, so you're working on the wrong side and then you flip it round to show that floral design and the garter stitch that runs all the way through the pattern. Like the Beatrix cardigan, I was also happy to see that this piece features little loops so that you can hook your buttons in without pulling your jumper too much. The fact that it has a crisp I-cord neckline and the opportunity to add jewelled or maybe pearled buttons just makes this a really fun option that you can totally customise to the look and feel that you want. And I would actually take your yarn along with you and match your yarn to that perfect button choice to achieve a look that feels very personalised to you, but also very chic and elegant and crisp. The Mily cardigan comes in a total of 8 sizes, from an extra small up to a 3XL. My final lacework choice is from a designer who I just happened to stumble across on Ravelry, but I have to say that basically 90% of everything she makes could probably fit this TexturedFallKAL, and this is the Tea of Heaven by Joanna Ang. Out of all of her gorgeous patterns, the Tea of Heaven really stood out because of just how feminine and kind of dainty and intricate the lacework is. The lacework design in this piece runs all the way down the arms of what is otherwise quite a simple and classic silhouette. In the intricate mix of lace, cables and bobbles, you create an effect that almost looks like a lattice of leaves is climbing up your arm. I really love this beautiful pale pink that she's gone for, but I reckon that this would also be nice in those rich autumnal reds or oranges, or maybe even something like a green. If you haven't heard of this designer, I really recommend you check her out. She immediately caught me when I was scrolling on Ravelry, and all of her work seems to feature very comfortable and cozy silhouettes that just have a touch of something extra special. So this would be a great one if you don't want to commit to a huge kind of fancy lace or cable jumper, but you just want to try a little bit down the sleeves. I also particularly enjoy the clean and neat I-cord neckline. I am a sucker for I-cord necklines. I think that they just look so good and so finished. This garment is created with 2 strands of silk mohair and comes in a total of 7 sizes, from an extra small up to a 3XL. My final category today is really anything that isn't lace or cables that includes heaps of texture or interesting stitches. With my next 3 options, I hope to show you the breadth of what I mean when I use the word texture to describe knits. The first of which is a pattern that I'm currently knitting up from Aegyo Knit, and that is the Sock Moon sweater. Some of you may have heard me mention this beautiful pattern in some of my past vlogs, but I decided to include it in this video just because I feel like it really typifies what I mean when I say experimenting with textures and fibres. So the Sock Moon sweater is a simple raglan construction, but what really stands out about it is the fact that it uses 2 different types of yarn to achieve sheer stripes. These stripes allow you to show a little bit of skin without it being too revealing, and also without you getting too cold. Because we all know that once autumn is over, we're going to need to really wrap up for the winter. However, I wanted to cast on a piece that would be that perfect date night look for the fall. And I feel like the Sock Moon sweater really encapsulates that. Its simplicity means that it's the perfect opportunity to experiment with some really beautiful, maybe slightly luxurious yarn. For my version, I've gone for a black merino held with a cashmere lace. which is very fancy, but I'm so looking forward to wearing it really close to my skin. This sweater is knit with approximately 10 to 30 centimeters of ease, so it has quite an oversized fit, but you are able to customize it and size up or down depending on how loose you actually want it. For my version, I'm going to make it quite baggy as I want to be able to wear it really loose, maybe with a black camisole underneath and a pair of cute jeans. The sock moon comes in a total of 5 sizes for a finished circumference of 104 to 130 centimeters. Having shown you an option for creating different textures with different types of yarn, I wanted to go for a piece that would be really lush and squishy and detailed all over. And the pattern that stood out to me the most for this was the Diamond Jumper by Ventzel. If you have an Instagram account, you will most certainly have come across the beautiful photography of Ventzel. Now, of all of her gorgeous patterns, the one that I have consistently gone back to wanting to make is the Diamond Jumper. The star of this big cozy sweater is its beautiful diamond lattice that runs all the way down the back, front and sleeves. Additional details like a big soft turtleneck and beautiful lines for the raglan just give this a lot of extra polish. I also felt like it was quite reminiscent to me of the gorgeous sweater that Harry wears in When Harry Met Sally, so it was definitely giving me those kind of old rom-com autumnal vibes. If I were to make this, I think I would actually be tempted to maybe cast it on in white, just to completely go and recreate that look from the film. However, I think that any neutral colour would really work with this and allow you to create a super timeless, comfy and cozy piece. This jumper is also knit in an Aran weight yarn, and the designer advises that you use a blown yarn, so not to weigh it down so much. The Diamond Jumper comes in a total of 3 sizes, from an extra small up to an XL. For my final piece, I really wanted to choose a garment that encapsulated a little bit of all of the techniques I was looking forward to experimenting with this autumn. So a natural choice became the Colette Pullover by the prolific designer Sari Nordlund. One quick glance at Sari Nordlund's beautiful repertoire of patterns will show you that most of her designs would probably fit in the theme of this KAL. However, the Colette Pullover really stood out because of the fact that it combines ribbing, cables and lacework. This pullover is a very classic silhouette with a boxy fit and drop shoulders. However, it features beautiful wide thick cables in a ribbed pattern all the way down the front and the sleeves. Each cabled segment is also then individually separated by lines of lacework holes that just add a little bit of extra kind of polish and cool finish to the piece. The Colette pullover is knit from the top down, and it's finished off with some nice 1x1 ribbing that will allow you to achieve a really crisp look. The designer also recommends that you go for a single colour rather than a variegated yarn, just to make sure that you really allow all of that texture to sing. Although I love all of the neutral shades that other people have knit this up in on Ravelry, I actually feel like the Colette could be a good one to experiment, maybe with a pop of red or a little bit of rich navy, just for something different but still very classic. The Colette pullover comes in a total of 9 sizes for a 101 to 177 centimeter finished bust. Okay, that rounds up all of my textured knits. I hope that you really enjoyed seeing all of my inspiration for the autumn, and I hope that this has encouraged you to go out and try a new technique. I know that I can get in the slump of the comfort of a good stockinette jumper, so I'm really hoping that this KAL will allow me to push myself out of that comfort zone and really try new techniques and new textures I've never tried before. If you would like to participate in our Textured Fall knit along, it will be running for a total of 3 months from the 10th of September to the 10th of December, so finishing just in time for you to get in that last minute Christmas knitting. Please do be sure to follow me over on Instagram and follow my friend Jacky Knits so you can stay up to date with all of the information about the knit along. Thank you so much for watching this video and happy knitting! Bye!